Hardcore.
Hey guys, you're watching Hardcore, and this is our top 5 government conspiracy theories which ended up being true. Now, we trust our government with a whole heap of information. We trust them to give us electricity, to keep our water clean, and to give us security. But does that mean we can trust them not to keep secrets from us? Well, the answer is clearly no, and here are our top 5 hidden secrets that the government didn't want you to know.
Number 5.
We thank North Korea for this terrifying story from Japan. In the 1970s, around the coast of Japan, several civilians went missing without a trace. Most were in their 20s and had just disappeared. Conspiracy theories were shot out about possible abductions, serial killings, and even government cover-ups. Someone eventually claimed that the North Koreans had been abducting the Japanese civilians. Obviously, this theory was ridiculed. Well, up until the North Korean government confirmed they had in fact abducted 13 Japanese individuals. Sounds absurd, right? Wouldn't it just be more likely that the North Korean government was just claiming they had done this just to gain some publicity? And it's not without precedent. This all could just be some kind of stunt, and I would accept that as a pretty reasonable explanation. Well, that's until the negotiations between diplomats continued. The Japanese government and the North Korean government discussed for decades about possible trades, and in 2002, the Japanese Prime Minister went to North Korea and came back to Japan with 5 of the abducted individuals. They had been returned from North Korea from holding cells, and the other 8 had actually been killed.
Number 4.
At number 4, we have the secret government project known simply as MKUltra. We've all heard of those conspiracy theories which go along the lines of the government is trying to make mind controlling guns and they're trying to control us using hypnotism or maybe even some radio frequencies. They're completely unbelievable. Until MKUltra. This operation was created by the CIA and started in the 1950s. It performed several illegal activities, and it was mainly based around the use of unwitting Canadian and American civilians. Their tests consisted of mental manipulations. This basically means that they handed out a whole bunch of drugs, prominently LSD, to manipulate people's mental states. And this wasn't some small-time experiment either. This was carried out in 80 different institutions, 44 of which were colleges and universities. These experiments went on for over 20 years before they were stopped, with limited success, mind you. Basically, they were trying to manipulate how people acted by basically mind control. This leaves a massive question as to over why the government would be doing this.
Number 3.
Most of us know about the civil rights movement and about how individuals like Martin Luther King changed the world. His assassination typified the feelings of a group of individuals about equality between blacks and whites. Now, this goes a lot deeper than that. It would be impossible for the government to try and stop activism. Well, it isn't. Not a lot of people know about an operation called COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO was a program made by the FBI, and it targeted any activist organization from 1956 to 1971. Despite predominantly targeting both black and white hate groups, 85% of funds were in subduing African American activists. The FBI took this as far as coercing police into raiding black activists' homes, such as the Black Panthers. This finally came to a head on December 4th, 1969. The FBI ordered the Chicago police force to invade the home of a black activist known as Fred Hampton. They stormed into his home and shot him dead, as he was sleeping unarmed in his bed.
Number 2.
This was a very close number 2, basically because of how shocking it was. The American government is always there trying to protect its people. They make it difficult to get cigarettes and difficult to drink. But in 1920 to 1933, the American government took it one step further. They implemented a total alcohol prohibition. This meant no alcohol was to be produced or consumed by the American public. It was completely unenforceable as drinking continued. So what the American government did, under the influence of the FBI yet again, was to try and put poison or impurities into the alcohol. And that was all done without telling the American public. They introduced things like methane, formaldehyde, ammonia, kerosene, and even arsenic into the alcohol. But the most usual and most fatal modification they made was to denature the alcohol. They turned it from normal drinkable alcohol into something called rubbing alcohol. It's very, very good at cleansing wounds and stopping infections, but if you drink it, it will destroy your intestines, liver, and kidneys. It's obvious that not too far after they introduced these impurities, that people started dying. But what they did next was that they blamed it on alcohol intoxication. Instead of saying that these people were killed because they refused to follow government legislation, they chose to lie and to cover up what they had done.
Number 1.
And finally, we have number 1. None other than the heart attack gun, a gun invented by the CIA using taxpayer money that was actually presented by Senator Frank Church in the 1975 committee to see the illegal activities of the CIA. This gun can be found in almost every single conspiracy theorist's book. It shoots an ice bullet that is about 0.11 inches in width and leaves no noticeable trace. Upon impact, it melts completely and only leaves an entrance wound the size of a mosquito bite. It's dusted with shellfish venom that induces a myocardial infarction in any human being whatsoever, regardless of age, fitness, or even size. If you test for the venom, it is possible to detect it in the blood of the victim. However, there is rarely an autopsy for a heart attack victim. Despite knowing that the gun has existed for more than a decade, it's really hard to say whether the government used it or not. Obviously, there are theories out there which state that this person died prematurely of a heart attack and that obviously it's him, but there's not enough evidence out there to conclusively make any deductions. But what's even more cool than any possible uses of the gun is that the CIA actually invented it. They created the gun without anyone knowing whatsoever, using taxpayer money that was practically an assassin's dream. That's pretty scary if you ask me. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave your opinions in the comment section below. If you like the video and want to see more, please hit like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching!